I'd like to thank everybody that's on the call on WebEx for taking the time out to listen to me talk about vSphere, and hope it's as beneficial to you as I'd like it to be. All right. So today's agenda, as the title states a little bit, we're going to talk about the past, present, and future where vSphere is today. Obviously, with NDA agreements in place, I can't talk too much about future, but the goal is to prepare you for the future and what is coming down the road, so you can start to prepare for that early versus it being a surprise. All right, the end-of-life products. So this is, as you can see, one of VMware's documents that they do produce all the time. And I want to call out the three highlighted components that you see here. ESX 5.0 and 5.1 are already past end of general support, and end of technical guidance is actually rapidly approaching as well. All right, and 5, which is the biggest catalyst to this webinar that we're on today, is it's going end of general support in September 19th, obviously, as you can see here by the date, and that's a big date. ESX 6.0 is the other component that I want to show you, and if you can see a pattern here, 11, 13, 15. So with ESX 6 coming out in March of 2015, if I was a betting man, I would say that you might see the next version of vSphere coming April, May-ish at the latest, probably, if I had to bet. And hence the rest of the presentation is, VMware has already announced that some functionality is being deprecated. So we want to make sure that you're as ready for that as possible, and that's for all of your businesses. All right, so the end-of-life product, and a lot of people are wondering, what does that mean when we go, as you see here, end of general support? What does that mean? So then you then get pushed into technical guidance, and people are always like, well, what does that mean? That still sounds good. Well, it kind of sounds good, but that's why I wanted to bring a little vision into that. All right, so telephone support is not provided, so you can use a chat window to get your help. That in itself is horrific to me as trying to support an enterprise environment. All right. Severity issues on supported configurations only. So if something's not supported, you're getting nothing. And they do not offer any new hardware support, client OS updates, new security patches, bug fixes. That's just, again, a lot of horrific things that are not covered. So in my opinion, you're paying for support that you're really not getting, just so you can do the upgrades in the future. That's, a VMware to help people to continue to stay at least on a more current release. I know that a lot of people don't like to be on the bleeding edge, but at least be up stack a little bit, stay at least, one revision back or something along those lines will give you, the best place to be to make some people sleep at night. All right, so, IDC, Gartner, Forrester, pick your analyst, they're all saying the same thing, not keeping up with enterprise software and firmware, it's a lot of things that it causes. One of them is loss of productivity and efficiency. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of things that are brought in with newer releases to make you more efficient. That's all of what the features that are added to release. It makes things more efficient and more productive. So so they're easier to function and you get more out of what you're spending your money on. All right, reduced uptime. Let's face it, this is fixing bugs. There's bug fixes that are in a lot of these things that stop the environment from going down. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of vSphere, or VMware as a whole, as everybody knows. But there are issues at times, and there are bugs that have to be remediated. It's software is software. There's no difference. as I said before, with the productivity and efficiency, you know, you're paying for functionality that you're not actually leveraging. You know, and I think the elephant in the room is the reduction in security. You know, there's such a vision on security today. It's not funny. You know, so you know, let's double click on security a little bit. Everybody's aware of, you know, Spectre and Meltdown. You know, and the two of those, so I went and here's the VMware's patches to mitigate those two vulnerabilities. All right, you see 5.5 is on that list. You don't see 5.0 or 5.1. So if you're sitting on 5.0 or 5.1, you're not being remediated here. You're very susceptible to both of those vulnerabilities. You know, and obviously I just picked out the two most recent ones. They're find vulnerabilities all the time, and with those vulnerabilities, obviously we're talking about issues that are going to happen to your production workloads. You know, so anything that we can do to mitigate that is obviously the best direction to go. So, I said, you know, how can we start to get you ready for this? You know, and how can you leverage 6.5 that's out today and very capable? All right, because one of the things that's actually going away in the next version, all right, is the Windows Virtual Center Server Appliance, our Virtual Center Server. So anybody that's currently still using the Windows box, in the next version, you will not have the code to do the upgrade. All right, so appliance was announced in, I think it was 5-ish time frame, and get better and better ever since its original inception. All right, so here, as you can see, you know, I'm going to walk through some of the exclusive features. You know, these are things that, you know, bring a lot of value to the organization that if you're not using the appliance, you won't get. Not only that, it's also going to prep you for vSphere.next when it's gone. So you're already going to understand the management of it. Different, possibly, but it's at least it's still the basic understanding of the way it's functioning is going to be intact. It's one less new learning point that you have to do when the next version of vSphere comes out. So like I said, you know, native high availability. This is going to give you that, you know, Virtual Center is the heart of your environment. And without it, it can, you know, it still will function, but there's no management, no vision, no, you know, you lose a lot of control for it. So it's always been looked at as an Achilles heel type configuration, but, you know, the VCSA provides the ability to have high availability. All right. You know, Update Manager is built right inside of the server appliance now. So by migrating from your Windows configurations today to the vCenter server appliance, you actually can get rid of 2 Windows boxes that you have to maintain with Windows patches and so on and so forth, OS versions, to make life a lot easier for you. All right. Appliance management. This gives you a great vision into the components and how they're performing in the environment, so you can see where you may have some bottlenecks inside of your environment. It's very easy and very intuitive, and, you know, I'll have a screenshot of that coming down as well. Backup and restore. I know everybody has an enterprise backup and restore product that's out there. So what's nice for this one is if you're doing upgrades, you're doing changes, you don't have to worry about messing with the enterprise application, because sometimes they're not always friendly, and not everybody likes to leverage their backup and restore product. And sometimes they may not support Linux, you know, because the VCSA is a Linux-based application. But, you know, now that it is built right in, it is great for, you know, those one-offs, or you can use it as a last known good configuration where you're guaranteed in case something else was to happen. All right, and a server appliance, none of these are in Windows today. The architecture improvements in vSphere. As I said, you know, here today you have the vCenter server on one Windows box, and you have Update Manager on another Windows box. So again, it's it's not the most efficient way to be able to do things. You know, it's worked up until where we are today. However, you know, just because we've always done it before doesn't mean it's the best way to continue moving forward. I happen to be a fan of the vCSA with the integrated update manager. It just makes things a lot smoother. They're more in lockstep, and there's migration support for you to get from one to the other, which I think is a very critical component. Right. So the vCSA, you know, it's a two-step process, but again, end of the day, it's a pretty simple process to deploy this thing. You know, you deploy the OVA. Probably everybody on the call has deployed an OVA at some point on vSphere. It's a pretty simple process now. And then step two is just the configuration of it. And you know, I really like that they did the two-step configuration because, you know, there's nothing worse than doing an install and you get halfway through and, oh, this didn't work or that, and things roll back. You know, at least this gives you the ability to know that everything that's been put in so far is all validated and working as the implementation is happening. So, you know, and it does give you the ability to take some snapshots in between for rollbacks or create, you know, templates for additional deployments depending upon how your vCenters are rolled out in your organization. It's a deployment option. And as I said, there is a migration strategy here. You know, there is a tool to help you get from your Windows vCenter today to the vCSA. You know, you can be 5.5 or 6 and migrate to the 6.5. It pulls everything in. You know, it even assumes the identity of your Windows vCenter from the UID, the IP, and the name. It does support still SQL Express, and Oracle, and again does the pre-checks. And you know, I know it's not always important, but sometimes it can be, and that's the pull of the historical and performance data, so you can see how things were before and how they will be now. The vCSA, the monitoring. This is what I was talking about before. You know, here's a screenshot to be able to see exactly how that VM is performing and what it's doing. You know, that's a pretty powerful UI. It's simple, but it's very powerful to be able to see the things that your virtual center, you know, the heart of your environment is actually doing. And you know, the one thing I do like is it does have a remote syslog configuration as well. The backup and restore component of this, you know, it's something that's very easy. It removes that dependency on third-party applications, and there is the option for encryption if that's required. You know, it's nice to be able to restore right from the vCSA ISO. You know, all you need is the ISO and the backup itself. So simple, easy. And the vCenter, high availability, as I was talking earlier, you know, the heart of the environment. And this is a little, you know, you can see a little bit of the picture of how this works. You know, you've got the one public IP that will be shared, and then you got two private IPs where they continue to talk and still talk to a witness to make sure that we know who the active vCenter is. It does only support the external PSC today. Obviously, you see that it could be an internal support coming down the road. There are two configurations, basic and advanced. The difference between basic and advanced, basic really will do the cloning and does a lot of the configuration for you, where advanced, obviously, you have to do the cloning of it and do the configurations. It is active-passive with the witness, as you can see here in the picture. It does require some network configuration. So you've got the public network, or your production network, so to speak, and your private network, and these have to be separate. The automatic failover web client may require a relog. So as you can see, the management behind that vCSA is, you know, you've got the vSphere web client, you've got the vSphere client, the platform, the PSC, the appliance management, and the host client. All right, you'll probably, if you look here, you're going to see that one of these does not belong. And, you know, 4 of them are HTML5, and the 5th one is Flash. So as you may have guessed, That one is going away in the next version. So I know we took some time going from what was the legacy VIC, moving to the web client, and now we're going from there to the vSphere client. It is HTML5. It's a lot quicker. It's way more friendly than what it was going from the VIC to the vSphere web client. And like I said, what's nice is you can actually use it today. And I think that was the biggest challenge. And I mean, I see clients all the time still using the VIC, even in its very limited capacity and capabilities today. That's still their go-to is the VIC. You know, the vSphere client is, I'll say VMware's putting a step in the right direction to make the performance better. The layout is better. You know, it was not full functionality when vSphere 6.5 first came out, but now that it's come across after update 1, you know, most of the feature and functionality is pulled there, and with the next release, it will be full function. There will be no tool that you can't do, or no task that you can't do with the vSphere web client that you won't be able to do with the vSphere client. So the vSphere client, like I said, HTML5, it is definitely, you know, a lot more, it's a lot cleaner, it's a lot neater, as you can see here by the picture. You know, it reminds me more of the VIC than it does actually the web client itself. You know, it is built on Clarity UI standards that VMware is adopting across everything. You don't have to worry about any plugins. Fully supports enhanced link mode, and as I said, you know, it's significantly more performant than what you're seeing in the vSphere client today, or I'm sorry, the web client today. So when you look at this, sometimes it can be a little bit daunting to be able to walk through that process. So, you know, obviously SMP always wants to be here to help you. If there's anything that you need in that process, we're here to assist. You know, where do we stand from that knowledge? You know, we are on the VMware advisory board. We have several vExperts that are actually on staff, and all of our data center engineers are VMware certified. So being able to do the work is not an issue. We've got the papers to say so, or the papers to say that we're capable of doing what we say we can do. Experience, we've performed many upgrades. I couldn't even wager to state how many upgrades we've actually performed on different environments. And the cost, you know, I mean, some of these can be very simple. If you're coming from something like a vSphere 4 or 5 up, we have to make sure hardware is compatible, but as long as hardware is compatible, it can, you know, they can be very, you know, pretty cheap engagements to be able to get you up to, you know, 6.5 at least. And as I said, you know, you're going to see a new version coming out very soon. I'm not exactly sure the date, but like I said, if I was a betting man, you'd probably see something in that April, May-ish time frame. And, you know, SMP guarantees all their work. You know, there's not a lot of people that put the guarantee behind the things that they do, but, you know, we do have it in writing that we guarantee all the work that we do. So if there's, for some reason, you know, we'll do whatever it takes to make sure that you're happy with the work that we said that we were going to do.